Okay, now we're down to the star of the show. That, of course, is the U.S. COVID-19 numbers. Before we get started again, big shout out to the 8 people in the U.S. who watched the video yesterday. Thanks so much to all you 8 people. Okay. Also consider this your personal invitation to join me on Dave's Data Analytic channel this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. New York time. Also, the subjects for this evening's screencast will be live stream will be continue to read through the book R for Data Science by Hadley Wickham, and then we're going to use we're going to do some lightweight data cleaning and data analytics. Okay. Again, for you folks on YouTube, there's a link to my Twitch stream in the description below. Okay. So let's go and do a rollout here now. Okay, let's take a look at the U.S. vaccine numbers now. Oh, that's not right. So let's take a look at the vaccine for the roll-up for the United States. Oh, by the way, at the end of this video here, I'm going to be reading the second chapter from Ernest Hemingway's book titled "Movable Feast," which is about his time he spent, which has to do with his time in Paris among the artists and the writers community in Paris. Okay. So let's take a look at the U.S. COVID-19 numbers. So currently, the U.S. has administered 429 million doses. Of those doses, 223 million have received a single dose, and 192 million have received the full treatment, whatever that is. Which puts the U.S. at a 67% uh, a 67% single vaccination rate. Okay, and a 57.7% full vaccination rate. All right. So now let's move on over here to the numbers. Okay, what you can see here is the U.S. numbers. It's interesting to note that these numbers are from the very first case back in January 2020, and the very first death at the end of February 2020 also, which is uh, which is kind of curious because cancer like diseases like cancer and heart disease are counted 1 year at a time. Okay. But nonetheless, since January 2020, the U.S. has had 46.4 million cases. And since the very end of February 2020, we had 754,278 deaths. Now, this means we're currently averaging 71,042 cases per day, which projects out over the next 365 days to 25.9 million more cases between now and November next year. We are currently averaging 1,222 deaths, which projects out to 446,000 more deaths plus over the next 12 months. Now you can see here long declining pattern from June all the way down to July. Then in July we saw this big steep increase here. Okay, the good news is the average is well below the average up here. Okay, all right. So the question, what is this here? Is this the fall increase? Is this it for the fall and winter of 2021? We've only got a month and a half to go. Could this be it? are we going to see another spike during the winter like this one over here? Okay, because if this is it, then that'd be a huge victory for the U.S. Okay, even though we're still having fairly high cases, high number of cases today, it would still be a victory if there is no major winter spike like over here. A question, of course, is how many of these people are vaccinated and how many of these people were tested for Delta variant. Okay. Now deaths, you can see over here again, long declining pattern, spring and summer as far as deaths. Uh, This is 500, so at one point the daily deaths averaged below 500 per day before climbing back up over here, deaths again. But again, the average deaths per day is well below this number here. Now the question again is this: is this it as far as COVID-19 deaths? Does this represent the peak for COVID-19 deaths uh, going forward? Or will we see another spike like back over here in January 2021, or January 2022? Now, as you can see here, hey, hey, Jonas, knock it. Thanks so much for the follow, friend. Thanks so much. Stop by the if you're in the channel here, stop by the chat session and say hi, okay? But thanks so much for the follow. So cases have passed 2020 cases in the U.S. and deaths have passed 2020 deaths in the U.S. So what you can see here is, we had this big increase in the fall, the spike here. Is is this our fall increase right here? Is this our fall increase? Or are we going to see another one in January? Okay, that's the question. What about over here? Again, is this it for deaths for the year? Are we going to see a second spike towards the very end of the year? That's the interesting question. And I'm going to tell you right up front, if it wasn't for President Trump's effort in getting the vaccine developed and approved, we would not the situation would not be as good as it is. Okay, because Joe Biden didn't change anything. He simply adopted President Trump's program, and so actually he's actually stolen the credit for the COVID-19 vaccine from Donald Trump's administration. Okay, and stolen, so what we're looking for there. Yes. Now what this is quarterly cases. Now what you can see here, unfortunately, the third quarter of 2021 was the third most quarter for COVID-19 cases in the U.S. It was also the quarter with the third most COVID-19 deaths so far. Now again, we come over here. We can zoom in a little bit here. Okay. The cases spiked on January 8th at 303,146 before falling all the way back down to around 21,000 and towards the end of summer. Then we had this big spike over here. Okay, but again, the averages are well below each other. So don't be we got to be careful not to put too much emphasis on individual days here. Okay, because of the volatility. But again, the cases began to fall back down to November the 6th at 25,747 cases for a single day. Same thing back over here. Let's take a look at the end numbers here. Okay, so on November the 6th, U.S. deaths have fallen to 352 for a single day. So you can see here weekly cases, long declining pattern going into it. Now here's the question: is this it as far as the big spike for the fall and the winter, or will we see another spike back up here again over the next month and a half to 2 months? That's the question. Same question here. You notice here how much lower these deaths were than this spike over here. Okay, very important not to lose track of the progress we've made here. Okay, what about monthly cases? You can see here we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 very good low months here. 2 months in a row of decline in COVID-19. We'll see back over here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row we saw a decline in COVID-19 cases. 1, 2 months so far decline in COVID-19 deaths, and most recently. Okay. What about deaths? Look at this nice decline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is some. We don't want to lose track of the fact we had 6 months in a row where COVID-19 deaths decline, followed by 1, 2 month decline, and now hopefully going on a 2 month decline in COVID-19 deaths here. Now here's the question: for every 100,000 people in America, how many of those people have COVID-19 virus? Well, the answer is about 25. Okay. What about for every 100,000 people in the U.S., how many people are dying per day from COVID-19? Well, the answer to that is less than one half of a person is dying per day of COVID-19 in America. Okay. Total cases. Look at this here. You know this thing. Remember all the talk about flattening the curve back in the spring of last year? Well, I got some bad news. We have never had a flattening curve in the U.S. COVID-19 cases or deaths. This is flatter, but it's not flat. It's still increasing. Now over here, the cases begin to increase at a higher rate. Same thing with deaths here. No, we've never had a flattening of the curve. COVID-19 case deaths. Okay. So okay, America, that finishes your report for today. And this includes our COVID-19 cases reports for today. And in just a moment, we're going to move on to Mr. Ernest Hemingway and Movable Feast. Okay. We're also going to begin to upload our files to the.